Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. Welcome back to my channel. This is Sabaf Sarinamdar. You all are very familiar with me. Presently, I am working in Nehru College for the PU section, as well as I am working for B.Ed College there itself. Today, basically, this video is meant for B.Ed students. Today, we'll be discussing the integration program of micro-teaching, right? So in this video we'll be learning what are the 6 skills and what are their sub skills and how a teacher student can get benefited by this micro teaching, right? Micro teaching is one of the very essential learning in the B.Ed. Without going through the micro teaching, the one teacher cannot succeed. Why? Because you'll be knowing in this video, right? Yes, micro teaching, according to me, that's my favorite. Why? Because in this micro teaching, a student teacher learn the small chunks of how to teach a student, right? What else a teacher can get benefited from, right? If she's nicely polished in her teaching skills, wherever she goes and she explains or she gives her lesson, that everyone should get admire of her, and also the students who are surrounding to you, they should feel that this teacher has some sort of spark, in her. That is what this micro teaching does, according to me. Okay. Micro teaching not only teaches you how to teach, but it also tell you to get that patience to listen to the pupil, what are his thoughts for your lesson, and how you can make that child creative. Nowadays you all know that teacher is not a dictator now. She's only a mentor. The child has his own knowledge. There's only need of just pushing him out, right? Everyone has that ability to grasp the knowledge, to inculcate it, and then to express it. Here the teacher's role is that just to give a slight push and show the way where he has to move. Thus, without wasting any more time, let's get started with our slides. We'll be explaining you all the slides. In all those slides, you'll be learning what is the micro teaching, meaning, nature and scope, and the integration of all the 6 skills, how a teacher should explain, and everything. Okay, let's get started. Okay, no need of introduction here again. We have already done that. Here, what is the teaching? Teaching is a best approach to understand the nature of a teaching, establishing in a harmonious relationship between teacher, students, and a subject, right? Teaching is activity to facilitate learning. See there, teaching is just an activity to facilitate learning. You are not teaching here, you are just facilitating the pupil. Effectiveness is a teaching does not relate to the teacher's age, sex, and teaching experience. Effectiveness of a teacher can be in any age. She can be very young or she can be very old. Very old teachers cannot have that effectiveness. Very young teacher also some certain time they don't have that effectiveness of teaching a child. Defective teaching and learning process. This small mimicry is to make you understand that anything that is forcibly given, that the child cannot accept it in that fluent or good way, okay, in a positive manner. What is the learning and how learning happens? See here, learning means knowledge acquired by the study, right? Learning happens and knowledge is generated when learning is knowledge is generated when learning takes place. There are a famous saying, I hear, I forget, I see, I remember, I do, I understand. Why I do, I understand is a better verse, because here practically the child involves himself in doing the activity, then that cannot be forgotten even though after the exams. How learning happens? We remember 20% of what we hear, right? And 30% of what we see. and 50% what we hear and see. But 90% of what we see, hear, and do, when there is a lot of practice, when there is hearing, and also all the three sensory programs, when they work, that time only we have a better understanding on the particular subject or a topic. It might be a pupil also. How learning happens? See, there's a pie diagram given. Here, see, here and see, here and see, and do. There's a division given: 20, 30, and 50, and 90. Since the time it has made the shift from teacher's role, like in the first section, you can see there's a shift from a shift to what usually it was earlier and what it is now. Knowledge transmitter, primary source of information, content expert, and a source of all answers. From this, a learning facilitator, collaborator, coach, mentor, knowledge navigator, and a co learner. See that teacher's part is not just to transmit the knowledge, right? Here, just earlier days, it was like teacher is like a candle, she burns herself and she gives light to the students. That has become an old concept now. Along with the children, there are a lot of things we can learn from the children, right? Along with the children, teacher is just a facilitator, she's a collaborator, she collab with the students, and she also learn, and she's a coach, and she's a mentor, knowledge navigator, and a co learner. Teacher controls and directs all the aspect of learning. See, earlier it was like when I was in the school, everything was teacher centered. There was nothing like they ask our opinion, what we want to learn, what we feel. No, nothing like that. But nowadays it is entirely different, and I basically love the concept. Teachers control and directs all the aspects of learning. But here, nowadays, teacher gives the student more option and responsibility for their own learning, where child is given child-centered education, which is a excellent concept which has they brought to India, and their child is seen as whole content creator, okay, and he is a responsible. Now, just now we studied a teacher's role. Now it is a student's role. A shift from to a shift to. The earlier it was just a passive recipient of information. We used to sit in the class, teacher used to explain and dictate, and she used to go off. But now student is like it is a, he or she is an active participant in the learning progress, right? In the learning process. If the student is passive, you should consider that he is not learning at all. You should make him active, understand him what is going on, and the learning process is happening. The second one is reproducing knowledge. Just it is like I'll be giving you this, memorize this, and come back tomorrow. But now producing and sharing knowledge. What if you have produced this? Kindly you explain me what you have produced. Why? Because if the homework is given, the child takes to home, their parents do the homework, then again they will send it. Where is the child's learning? No, there is a complete nil. The third one is learning in solitary activity. But now learning collaboratively with others. What here? Children learn in the group. They don't learn alone at the home. In the classroom, where the classroom is very much active and all the activity chunks are given, they're collaboratively with their student friends, they learn. Brought to brought was Dr. Allen and his group involved microteaching in 1963 in America. Okay, you can see that there was first it was discussed how the microteaching can be given or made the student teacher to learn the microteaching and brought down to the classes. What is a micro teaching now? That is a huge question, right? Here, teaching of a small unit of a content to a small group of a students. Basically, the students may be 6 to 10 numbers in the small amount of time, 5 to say 10 minutes. Okay. To train inexperienced student teacher for acquiring teaching skill. Yes. Why you people are learning the micro teaching in this BA? Just to
get you an experience and acquire what are the teaching skills you can apply when you are practically in the classroom. The next, to improve the skills of experienced teachers. Now, nowadays schools are not open where you can get experience how to teach a child in the class, right? Thus, there will be a small classroom given for you people. You bring whatever the content you have, use the two skills, and teach your friends, class fellows, make them sit 5 to 6 of your friends. You'll keep on explaining the lesson using the skills, they'll let you know where you are lacking, right? That is a micro teaching. There is a micro teaching cycle. There is a In the first step, micro teaching lesson plan may take approximately 2 hours for a day. The step 2 is to teach. Teaching is only meant for 5 minutes, which you had already planned for 2 hours. Step 3 is a feedback section. After 5 minutes, your friends will give you a feedback for 5 minutes. Then you have to go back and replan wherever you are letting you yourself behind. Then again you have to reteach to another group, okay, not the same group, another group, and again you'll get a re-feedback. Total approximately 30 minutes is used for teaching, reteaching, feedback section, and replanning, right? Then again reteach and re-feedback. I hope you have understood till here. Okay, what are the characteristics of micro teaching? Duration of teaching as well as a number of students are less, right? Content is divided into smaller units. You don't need to rush with a whole lesson plan and to you have to deliver it. No need of any tension. Just take a small paragraph or from example from my way. If there is a poetry, take a 4 to 5 lines of a poetry. Just give an introduction to the poet and ask few questions, or you can sing that poem and then you can just begin. Only one teaching skill is considered at a time. Yes, keeping only one skill in your mind, you have to just practice that skill. Provision of immediate feedback. Macro teaching gives you immediate feedback, then you can immediately correct yourself after 5 minutes. In micro teaching, there is a cycle which I have already shown you. It puts the teacher under the microscope, right? Why do we learn here 6 skills? 6 skills are meant to watch you under the microscope, right? All this combiningly, all these skills has to be used when you go to the class, when there are natural environment of your 40 plus students. All the faults of the teacher are observed here in the micro teaching. Okay, the problem of a discipline can also be controlled. Some of, like, you'll be very high in the sound, very fast or very slow, or you might make the students bore, or you might make the students very active. These all things from your gestures, your way of behavior, your way of talking, the how you are using the board, everything will be observed here. Okay, see there. There's a comparison between the micro teaching and the traditional teaching earlier, which was it is. Traditional teaching, so 40 to 60. Nowadays it is a micro teaching 6 to 10 students. Teacher practice several skill at a time. No, now it takes only one skill at a time. The duration was 40 to 45 minutes. Now it is reduced to 5 to 7 minutes. Simple. Immediate feedback is not available. There is a immediate feedback to correct yourself. Continued, there is a no control over situation because there is a huge class 40 students and that is also your first time. No, here it is not. Teaching is carried out under a controlled situation because 5 to 6 students will be there, that will be your friends. The role of supervisor is two-edged, not clear. Here the role of supervisor is specific and well defined to improve your teaching. Why? Because particular skill is given, you get perfect in your particular skill, then you can shift to your next skill, right? The pattern of a classroom interaction cannot be studied there. Then why interaction cannot, with a huge class mean 40 to 50, you're not at all experienced in the teaching. How you're going to express all first of all you'll forget which is the first skill only. Here it is not like that. Pattern of a classroom interaction can be studied objectively. There are particularly objectives given. This you have to achieve, then only you can move further. Skills of a micro teaching techniques. There are six skills I have already said you. There's a introduction, probing questions, explanation, stimulus variation. Stimulus variation is my favorite. Blackboard writing and achieving closure. If the teacher has these six skills, expert in this, she no one can hold off her because she'll become an excellent teacher. Everyone will admire her education and the way she teaches. Okay, first we'll begin with the introduction skill. How will introduce our lesson or the poem to the students? Establishing rapports with the learners. See there, first, it tells that we should develop a connection between teacher and a pupil, right? Earlier, it was like she used to enter the class, stand up, sit down, take attendance. Then what? Put on the lesson name, she starts, she reads out, and she goes off, she gives the homework. No, nowadays it is not the same, right? First thing, the introduction skill, the first point itself, it tells you that rapports with the learner is very much important. The same, linking with the past experience. If you keep on constructing a building, the child doesn't have any base, how the building will stand, right? In the same way, there is a like link with the past experience. If you want to teach something about a national bird, first you'll begin with how many fangs does this peacock have? No, not at all, right? You'll be keep on asking the questions. What are the birds you love, right? What are the animals do you have in your home, right? Like that. This is like linking with the knowledge. Link between introduction and main parts. Whenever you link, your link should be connected with the main part, what you're going to teach. Use of appropriate devices, use of appropriate devices, techniques like questioning, examples, etc. Also, you can discussion is one of the finest. Skill of probing question. Probing question are those which help the pupils to think in depth about the various aspects of the problem, right? By asking such questions again, the teacher makes the pupil more thoughtful, enable the pupil to understand the subject very much deeply, right? The next one, skill of explanation. Yes, this is the work where you have to put your heart and soul. It involves the ability of a teacher to describe logically how, why, what of the concept. Whatever the hell you are teaching, how, why, what. The concept should the pupil should understand it. Okay. Precaution of skill of explaining. In explanation should be in very simple language. Also, you can use your mother tongue. This is a benefit for language teacher. Then should not be given the shape of an advice. Whatever you are teaching, it should not get converted in the shape of advice, advice, and advice. Should be in a sequence. It should be in the flow, right? One, two, three. First, you are explaining 10th one, then you're coming back to the first one, then again you're going back to the fifth one. No, that is not the thing. One, two, three, like that. It has to has the sequence. Should be according to the age, experience, and the mental level of the pupils. For the second standard child, you cannot give the advice of a 10th standard child because the mental variation is having a lot of difference. In that age, what he has to learn, he will understand that much only. And the 10th baby, what he want to understand, he will understand that only. The fourth skill is skill of stimulus variation. The one of the best skills which I have learned here, where we get skilled, that this is this teacher's movement. How are her movements when she's in the class? Teacher's gesture. How are her facial gestures? How she's using her hands and everything. Change in the voice. How the pitch rises and she gets it down. Focusing on what she's teaching, not leaving your point. And I mean to say like. Uh, She was teaching about the environment, and I don't know where she reached. She reached to geography. No, nothing like that. You should stay at what particular point you're teaching. Change in the interaction pattern. You should mean like keep on saying. No, your students will get bored. Pausing is very much important. When you're explaining, you have to take a pause, and in between, you have to ask your children, got it? You understood? You're following? Like there will be a sort of connectivity. Students' physical participation is very much important when you are explaining. You have to put on the questions, or you have to ask some or the other thing in the discussion while discussion is going on live, or else students will go in the sleepy mode. That is 100%. The next skill is skill of blackboard writing. Uh, this is one of the easiest skill. Components of the skill of blackboard writing are legibility, size and alignment, highlight main points, utilization of space, blackboard summary, correctness, position of the teacher, and the contact with the pupils. Whenever you are turned towards the board, totally do not show your back to the children, back to the pupil. Just turn slightly. You can keep your eye on the board as well as your pupil, because there is a connection between you and your pupil. If you will turn totally, your children will get distracted, right? And you have written something in the middle board and you're standing in the middle, the children are not able to see the board. No, that is also not followed. And you're writing very small words, the backbenchers who are sitting at last, they are not able to see, right? And the worst thing is teacher when commits mistakes on the board. No, please don't ever do that. If child will definitely stand up and he'll tell that, madam, you have written this thing wrong. Okay, if by mistakenly it happens also, just take it in a positive way. You tell him, good, I was checking you people, you are alert, or no, right? This is the technique you can use. This is the thing where you can see how a teacher can write. Blackboard writing skill. Okay, this here, this is the best technique I can say. Look, half concentration is near board and half concentration is to the pupils. Anna is tall. Is Anna tall? Anna is a tall. Sit down. See there. How neatly we can see how teacher has written. It is readable, right? Skill of achieving closure. The last skill it is questions and statements by the teacher related to the consolidation of a major points covered during the lesson. Opportunities provided by the teacher to the pupils for thinking the present knowledge with the past knowledge. Opportunity provided by the teacher to the pupils for applying knowledge gained during the lesson to the new situation. Later, she can have a closure on that. Feedback, right? Helpful information or criticism, excuse me, that is given to someone to say what can be done to improve a performance, product, etc. This feedback should be taken by your student friends. Okay, please kindly remember that the success of micro teaching depends on the feedback. Whatever the feedback you have received, take it positively, work on it, replan and re-execute. It is used in a various forms in the case of micro teaching by the supervisor, videotapes, films, TV, which are various source of feedback. Okay. Okay, what are the advantages? This all kahani we have heard. What are the advantages of this now? It focuses on the sharpening and developing specific teaching skills in eliminating errors. Okay. It enables understand of behaviors important in the classroom teaching. Then it increases the confidence of a learner teacher. It is a vehicle of continuous training for both the beginners and for the senior teachers. It provides expert supervision and constructive feedback. See here, why such a good advantages we have in the micro teaching? Once you are done with the micro teaching, see yourself, there is a lot of difference. Earlier method you used to teach, and now which all things you have learned and you are using it in your teaching, there will be a lot of changes. Okay, so we'll come to the summary. Micro teaching involves presentation of micro lesson. There will be audience, small group of your peers, means your friends, feedback given by peers, role playing as a student. Participants learn about strength and weakness in themselves as a teacher. Whoever those who are participating in micro teaching, they'll learn. Plan strategies for improvement in performance. They'll plan strategies how I can improve my performance. Why teaching profession is good, right? This is a huge question. Come on, you can give a good excellent answer. To teach is to learn. Earlier it was to teach means I had already given what earlier teacher used to say, but nowadays it is not. To teach, it is to learn. I teach because I learn. I will always be a student of a teaching. How old you get will, but you will be always a student. Every day you will be learning, right? Remember, even the best teacher can learn a great deal from his students or her student. Never ignore your children. Means your students. You will learn one or the other thing from your students. There's a secret also. The secret to education is respect the pupil. You understand, you build that sort of rapport with your students. Then see, there is a lot of change, and then you will enjoy your profession as a passion. Need of a hour. See, this is very much important. Working together, we can achieve our goal and expected qualities in higher education. When you go out from this B.Ed college, you will be in the schools, how to work with your colleagues. This is all that micro teaching teaches you. Present teacher, see there, and the expected teacher who is working. Thank you. Thank you for watching. I hope you all understood. If you have any doubts, you can directly send me in the message. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.